Today we're going to work on the stitch card, and to begin the stitch card we're going to start by threading your needle. Now, depending on the size of your needle, that will vary if you can use which end of the needle threader. This end is for the larger eye needle, and what you do is you just slide it through the eye of the needle. If this does not fit your needle, then you need to use the other end and just slide that end through and feed the thread through that. So I'm just going to use the large eye needle, take the thread, and it is a thicker thread than you would normally use to sew, and just put the tail of your thread through, and you have a short end. Then you are going to take the threader and the needle and pull until the tail of your thread comes through and your needle is threaded. Okay, so you just slide the threader through the eye of the needle, take your thread, and then pull the threader and through so that the tail of your thread comes through. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to keep one end longer than the other, and you're going to place a knot at the long end of your thread. To do that, you're going to take the end and wrap it around your pointer finger. What I like to do is take just the very end, put my thumb over it, wrap it around, and slide it underneath my thumb. So start with the small end, put your thumb over it, wrap it, and slide it underneath your thumb like that. Then you're going to take your thumb and you're going to roll it off your finger. So you're rolling it off your finger, don't let go of anything. And then I like to take my middle, and you see where the tail and the rope meet? You're going to place your middle right over top of where the tail and the circle meet. Put it right on top and pull with your middle and thumb until you get a knot. And I'll show you that one more time. Okay, take your, and you want the tail to be small so that when you are rolling the thread around, the tail of the thread is going to be wrapped up in your knot. So you, again, place your thumb, take your thumb and roll it off your finger. And then the more twist you get, the fatter the knot. Put your middle right where the tail and the circle meet. Put your thumb, take your thumb in middle and pull. So you get a knot, just like that. So the first stitch we're going to do is the running stitch. Now the running stitch is just a temporary stitch, which will look just like this. It's just up one, down one, all the way across. When we start the stitch card, we want to make sure that the knot is on the back side of the card. On the back. And like I said, it's just up one, down one, all the way across your card. Okay, we're going to start at the back stitch. making sure that the knot hits the back of the card. You can't just leave it loose and dangly like this. It has to hit the back of the card. Now you're going to go down one and then back up one. And like I said, this is a temporary stitch. If I needed to do something temporarily, or if I was just doing a craft and I wasn't going to put any force on the back of the card or any force on the stitch, then the running stitch would be an okay stitch to use. But other than that, the running stitch is just a temporary stitch. And when you're pulling your thread, make sure that you grab a hold below the eye of the needle so that you're not having to rethread it each time you pull the thread, because for this stitch we're not putting both ends together. And I'll do one more stitch and then I will show you how to knot it. Now you will go all the way across the card like it's shown here. When you get to the very end, to knot your thread, you take the needle, slide it under the last stitch that you made, and leave a loop. You're then going to take your needle and you're going to go from the outside of the loop and come up through the middle and pull. Now the first one, usually it may or may not hold, but I also recommend doing the knots 2 times. So that's one, and you're going to do the exact same thing again, where you leave a loop, and then take the needle and go from the outside up through the middle, and the second knot is usually more secure. And then get a pair of thread scissors and cut the thread end about a 1/2 inch or so. Okay, so that is your running stitch. Now for the back stitch. We're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to thread our needle, leave a short tail, and put the knot at the other end. Roll the thread off your finger and pull. Now for the back stitch will look just like it is shown here. It's just this stitch is much more secure than the running stitch. The back stitch, if I were going to fix something, I would use the back stitch if I didn't want to get my sewing machine out. Or maybe I can't get the sewing machine into the spot where I wanted to. So the back stitch would be the stitch that I would use most. It is very secure and is probably one of my favorite stitches to use. Okay, you're going to start at the arrow again, making sure that the knot is on the back side of the card. Again, make sure you pull so that the knot hits the back side of the card. And you're going to go down one, and again make sure that you grab a hold below the eye of the needle so that you don't have to keep rethreading your needle each time you do the stitch. Go back up one, and now, because it's called the back stitch, you're going to go back one. And it will look like a straight line going all the way across your card. Now you're going to go over one, hold on to your thread so you don't have to rethread it again, pull, and again there's no loose threads other than where the knots are, and go back one. And you're going to do this all the way across your card. And like I said, this is much more secure than the running stitch. Okay, I'll do one more stitch. And you'll do this all the way across your card like I have shown here. So again, there are no knots on the top of the card. They are all on the back side of the card. Again, do the exact same knot. Slide your needle underneath. Leave a loop because the loop is what helps create the knot. Go from the outside of the loop and come up through the middle and pull, and you should always do your knots twice so that they don't work themselves out, because that has happened before. The knot will undo itself if it's too loose and you've only done one. Okay, so go ahead, make a loop, go from the outside up through the middle. So you have a nice knot there, and then clip your threads. Okay, now for the outline or stem stitch. The outline stitch looks like a rope going all the way across your card. It's twisted. This stitch is actually the opposite of the back stitch. If you notice, I'm going to flip the card over, and this stitch does not look like a rope. And that's because there's a technique that you have to do where you keep the loop to one side, which will create the rope effect here. Again, it is the opposite, but if I turn the card, you can see that this does not look like a rope. Okay, so to do that, again, you want to thread your needle. Again, you'll need a new piece of thread each time you do each stitch, because you won't have enough. Use your needle threader and knot the long end. And pull. Now, for the outline stitch, again, we're going to come up at the arrow. Make sure that the knot hits the back of the card. Now, to get the stitch started, you are going to, you're not going to go down the first dot, but you're going to just skip one just to get the stitch started. And you're going to hold the loop. Okay, so each time you do the stitch, you need to hold the loop to one side. I'm holding it to this side. Then I'm going to come up the one I skipped and then pull. Now I'm going to go down the next dot. Oh, good point here. I got a knot in my thread. If you do get a knot in your thread in any of your stitches, please do not pull it tight or cut it, because I can usually get them out. So then just bring it up to me and I will get the knot out. So that was good that that happened. Again, you're going to hold the loop. Don't pull it flat, because then you'll skip a stitch and it won't be correct. So just hold your loop and you will be coming in the back. And remember, You'll know that you've done this correctly is because it looks like the back stitch on the back side. Hold the loop again and pull that flat. Again, hold. You're just going to go over one. And remember, the very first stitch, we skipped one to get started. After that, don't jump over two. You're just going to jump over one. Hold your loop. And then come up. And again, it is the back stitch on the back side. Make sure that the loop stays to the side. If the loop jumps over to this side and you pull, it's not going to look correct. It's going to look like this. So make sure that your loop is down before you pull your needle, or make sure it stays to the one side. And again, hold your thread, go down, come into the back side where the back stitch is, and then pull. Make sure that you always hold on below the eye of the needle so you're not having to rethread it each time. And you're going to do this all the way across your card. And again, make sure you hold that thread and come in on the back. And it will look like the back stitch on the back side. And then pull. Now you're going to end up on the top side of your card. There are no knots on the top of the stitch card. You will end up on the top. What you need to do is just take your needle and go down that last dot, just like you would on, which I will demonstrate, and put your knot on the back side of your card. So we'll say that this is my very last stitch, because I am going to end it here and there aren't any more dots. We'll just say, take your needle, take it all the way down to the back side, and then do the exact same knot as you did on the other two stitches. Leave a loop, go from the outside up through the middle, and pull, and then just do one more, and then come up through like this. And then you will cut your thread for the next, and get ready for the next stitch. Here I mentioned the outline stitch. The one thing that I forgot to mention was this outline stitch is a decorative stitch, and say you wanted to put your initials on your pincushion. You could actually do the outline stitch, draw it out, and do the outline stitch, and it would make your initials stand out more so than any of the other stitches. The outline is decorative. It looks nice because it does pop out a little bit more and looks decorative on your anything that you're making, like maybe the stem of a flower, or if you wanted to make initials, or anything to make something pop when you are creating something. Now for the blanket stitch. Again, you'll need a new piece of thread, and you'll use the needle threader again. Slide the threader through, get your new piece of thread, and again thread your needle using the needle threader. And then knot the longer end of the thread, just like you did on the other three stitches. Okay, now for the blanket stitch. The blanket stitch is a decorative stitch. It actually will go right along the outer edge of anything you're making. There's also 3 lines at the corner right here, and there should be a dot right at the intersection of those 3 dots, or the 3 lines. There should be a dot right at that point, and that's where you're going to do the 3-corner stitch. So you'll start again at the arrow and bring the needle up through as you're doing the stitch. And like I said, this is decorative, and let me just show you something. Here is a pincushion, and you can see that the outline stitch was used all the way around, and what it does is it kind of protects the edge from fraying, keeps everything all tucked inside. You can see here there was a 3-corner stitch and then continued, and again it does keep all of the edges inside the fabric here, like everything is tucked inside. Again, it's decorative, can be used on blankets or anything where you don't want your edge, the raw edge, to show. Okay, to do that, again, you'll start at the arrow. I'm going to start here so that I can show you how to do the 3-corner stitch. Alright, so you're going to bring the needle up through so that the knot hits the back of your card, just like all the other 3 stitches that you completed. Now, when you do the stitch, you're going to go down 1, split the threads, grab the needle, and pull. Go down the next dot, split the threads, grab the needle, and pull. So your threads are coming up in between the loop kind of here, and they will connect. Now be careful that you don't pull too hard, because if you do, your card will rip. And that goes for any of your stitches. If you have a knot or anything, don't pull too hard, because it is just paper and you don't want your stitch card to rip. Go down the next dot, split the threads, grab the needle, and pull. Now, when you get to the corner, don't skip it, because this is part of your grade also. Don't skip. Bring the needle down at the corner where the lines, all 3 lines come together. You're going to do the exact same thing. Go down, split the threads, grab the needle, pull. Now I put those lines there so you don't forget to do your corner. Take the first stitch and line it up on the first line. Go down that same dot again. Take your threads, split the threads, grab the needle, and pull. Land the second one on the second line. Go down again. Same dot. You're just kind of putting that thread right there so it stays. You've got your 2 threads. Split your threads, grab the needle, pull. Land the third one on the third line. Then you were given a long piece of thread so you can continue up and around your stitch card. Again, go down, split the threads, grab the needle, and pull up through. Go down again, keep going, go from the top of the card down, split the threads, grab the needle, and pull. And that will continue to finish your stitch all the way to the end of your card. When you're done, you're going to knot it the exact same way. I would just go through the second to the last stitch, leave your loop, go from the outside up through the middle, and pull so that your knot is on the back of your card. Do one more so you can finish. And then cut your thread. And then you're done.